What's going on, everybody? This is Warren.
And this is Jay.
We the Eagles Collective. Let's talk about this preseason game too. Let's get into the gist of everything. But yeah, let's get started. And
That we want to
yeah,
get back.
what's going on, everybody? This is Warren,
And this is Jay.
and let's talk about this game. So Jay, let's go ahead and just get it moving right now. So
Mhm.
we all know the Eagles got their second win against the Patriots, going 14-13. Uh, just a quick sum. What do you think about how the game was as a whole?
To sum it up in one word, it was a sloppy victory. You can't expect, a team to be firing on all cylinders so early in the year, especially preseason. But, it was very sloppy. Another come from behind win kind of reminds me of how they were winning last year in the beginning. But, it's a sloppy win to say the least.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I Everybody was kind of hidden, especially on the defensive side. The Patriots, I will say, the Patriots defense did play very well.
Mhm.
Um, so I definitely will say that. Now let's go ahead and get started with some of the quarterbacks right now. That's the biggest talk right now that everybody is saying. Tanner McKee definitely outperformed Kenny Pickett.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
140-yard passing. Uh, to Kenny Pickett, 67 yards passing. That's crazy. Then you got Will Greer, basically the fourth string quarterback with 35 yards passing. What do you think about Tanner McKee? I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, I think Tanner McKee at this point should be the quarterback too going into the season. Kenny Pickett is just looks very inconsistent, and to me, it just tells me that he's having trouble either grasping the offense or it's just he's just something's going on mentally with him because he's pretty much shined when he was in Pittsburgh, but right now he looks very timid, looks nervous, and the whole camp supposedly he's been outplayed by McKee, so it's showing on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. Do you feel like he's kind of going in with something to prove himself, and he's not looking at it from a team aspect, but more as like a I need to show people that I'm a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's the vibe that I get. So he's kind of forcing everything.
Well, yeah, when any backup you see playing in this league will always play to his potential because he can be elevated to a starter position in another franchise. It could end up being like that. But to me, it's just like he wants to be in the system. He doesn't mind playing behind Jalen, and he knows that maybe that's where he can grow the most. If he
Hmm.
plays this well, obviously teams are going to come calling for him. But I wouldn't be surprised if teams are already calling about Kenny Pickett and trying to figure out how they could fit him into their equation because I don't think he really has a place on his team.
Yeah, no, I like the way you're thinking on that. And like Jalen Hurts and Kenny Pickett's play style is a kind of two different things. I know Tanner
Yeah.
McKee's play style is very different too, but he's been learning under Jalen.
Yeah, he
So
looks in sync, and he looks in sync. Like he, everything he was doing, even when he started the shoulder to throw, I forgot who it was. Open up the second half. Everything just looks in sync with him. He looks like he's on point with his receivers. And remember, these are guys that he's only getting handful of reps with here, handful of reps with there, and it's not it's training camp. You're playing with guys you may never see again. So for what it's worth, he's definitely have put himself in a QB2 spot for sure, in my opinion.
yeah. And I know there's an injury in the middle of the game. We got Tyler Steen, who in the beginning of the season was talking about being the backup guard, taking over after Cam Jurgens moving over to center. Tyler Steen got injured with an ankle injury, so that position for guard is kind of going to Mekhi Becton right now.
Yeah.
And I've been watching him. He's been playing pretty elite. He didn't even play at all this game, so he's kind of sitting on the sidelines. So that kind of lets you know that starting position is given to him. So
Yeah.
I think that was good. I think as far as the offensive side, like I said, Kenny Pickett, he played well. Um, I kind of like that breakout that he had. It was good, but he, like I said, he was forcing it. It looked a lot like he was forcing everything with Kenny Pickett and with JJ McCarthy being out for the whole season for the Vikings. Like it's an opportunity for them to possibly make a trade or work out some type of deal. And
Oh yeah, he's trade bait
shout
at
out
this
to
point. Should
Richard.
be. What's going on,
Yeah,
Richard? No, you got here late. Don't worry, bro. You got here. That's what matters, man. Appreciate you having you here.
yeah.
But
So
listen,
Kenny
Warren,
Pickett,
yeah, he's
yeah,
he's trade bait at this point. You know how his phone has been buzzing. You know, it's gonna be buzzing. He's gonna move him probably. Like I said, if it's night and day right now with both of them and the way they've been playing. I mean, he's not even being effective or productive like any shape. So I just don't think that he's gonna be the QB2. That's Pickett, that is.
yeah. And another injury. Well, not necessarily an injury, but Johnny Wilson had a concussion, so he didn't get to play as much this game. However, Joseph Nagata, I believe,
Yeah,
one
he's
of
the
the
one who
wide
caught the back shoulder
receivers.
throw. He's the one who got the
Yeah,
back shoulder throw. Yeah, he was the one that
yeah,
the name just popped up to me.
yeah. So looking at his stats, he got 88 yards that game. Longest yard was for 28. So yeah,
That was the
he
back
took
shoulder.
off.
Yeah, that was the back shoulder throw to open up the second half. That's how he opened up his second half.
Yeah,
Looking at this list, man, Will Shipley. I mean, Will Shipley, his name is popping up on the highlights. His name is popping up on the receiving stats, the rushing stats, and the touchdowns. I mean, this guy's around.
yeah. Richard was right on Kenny Pickett. Yeah, he's not that
Oh,
good at reading the blitz either.
yeah.
He definitely got taken advantage of.
Bro, he's been sacked already 4 times. I mean, you saw McKee hasn't been sacked in the preseason. He hasn't played, much, but they both played pretty even. And Kenny Pickett has already taken 4 sacks from, non-starters. So what does that tell you? We get eat up by
Yeah.
defensive line, man.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And that's looking at this, like you said, Will Shipley is definitely proving himself. And I think we all kind of underestimated Will Shipley coming in based on how he was ranked when he came in during the draft.
Yep.
I did not think he was this like solid of a receiving back. Like he's kind of that
Listen,
run down the
Sproles.
middle. Yeah.
He reminded me like of a Sproles, like right out of a change of pace guy, very shifty. But if he could receive out the backfield, and so can Barkley, teams are going to be in trouble because the checkdowns are going to come.
Yeah. And like Richard's saying right now, Jenkins and Nagata have been making plays. They were making a
Yeah.
lot of plays. I personally wanted to see Johnny Wilson just because you've been hearing the hype, how he was training with Jalen,
Mm-hmm.
then the talk during camp. I wanted to see how he would perform.
Yep.
Kenny Gainwell is kind of doing his thing. Kenny Gainwell is always just going to make moves. Then you look at John Ross with only 9 yards. Like he got a catch.
Two
Then
targets
bring
only
Covey.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bring
Covey's
Covey.
another
I
one.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So answer this for me. I would like to see Brent Covey as like that that Wes Welker type position, Cole Beasley. Like I like him in that type of role if they can get him there. I think that's kind of what he's aiming for right now. But we definitely will see. But I like it.
Yeah,
I like
Covey's
that
one of those
he's
players. I
fighting.
think he's like made for Philly in a weird sense, and he hasn't really done much, but he seems to just keep doing what he's asked to do, and it's got him to the point where now he has a legitimate roster spot.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. Another player that stood out to us, he's a vet, but talking about Maddox with the interception, that was a good interception. And they
Yeah, and
kind
it was
of
on Brissett.
showed the replay. Yeah, they showed the replay and they had all the receivers on lock. They had all
Mhm.
the receivers on lock. So
Hey,
watching
listen,
them
man.
perform,
I've
yeah,
always been a Maddox fan. I'm a very big advocate for Maddox. I'm glad he came back and took the 1 year team friendly deal. Injuries, unfortunately, has what derailed him. But when he is on the field, he plays at 110%. He flies all over the field, and we all know that. And if you sometimes he may get beat, he may be out of position, but a lot of times he ends up making some type of play, a forced fumble, a recovery, interception, something. He always ends up doing something.
yeah. And speaking on the defense too, these are the stats from the linebackers to the secondary. Looking at this, it's a pretty solid. You can definitely tell everybody got their reps in.
Yeah, you know what's kind of funny how Trotter and Trotter is actually playing better than I also thought he was going to play. A lot of us Eagle fans, we wanted the cool story and this and that, but we did draft him pretty high compared to what other people had him on their board. But he has a chip on his shoulder. He's been playing well.
Yeah, yeah, and like what Rich is saying, last preseason I wanted the starting unit for a couple of snaps, but I doubt Sirianni will allow it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
going to tap a little bit into
yep,
that with the
yep.
starters playing. I know that it rained a little bit during that game, and they just don't want to risk the injury. From what Nick Sirianni said, it was a pretty physical camp against the Patriots,
Yeah, joint
and
practice.
he said that would be enough. Yeah, that joint practice, he felt
I'm a
like they were
very
pretty
big fan
physical
of that.
there.
I'm a very big
Yeah.
fan of joint practices. I feel like, the cameras ain't around, nobody's really around. It's just you and the other team, and you can get a lot of real good work done.
Exactly. Looking at Bryce Huff, total tackles and the solo tackles. Bryce Huff,
Hmm.
he kind of put himself out there too a little bit this
Hmm.
game. Zach Bond, uh, he put himself out there. The only if that I had on this was Nolan Smith making that kind of that bonehead move by roughing the passer. He made that up, but with the sack. So I think Nolan Smith is still learning as we watch him. We watching him slowly like progress and get better
Yeah, get
because
better,
he's technically was
because
supposed to fill in that role.
yeah. I think this is the year two. His year two leap is gonna be, I think, incredible. I think he's gonna go off the top this year. I really do think that, and I think him and the combination of him and Huff is gonna give us a good two, edge rushers for a while.
Yeah,
So
and
on
you're
both
looking at N'Kobe
undersized.
Dean.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Nicole, but no, both of them undersized, but they both play with speed. And Nolan Smith just got that bend. And unfortunately, Hassan Reddick is going through what he's going through right now. But his bend reminds me of Hassan Reddick's bend when he gets around that defensive end. And like, if you noticed yesterday, in the game when he got to the quarterback, the block sprung him right in. It's like he went through one guy, got to the second block, and the block just sprung him into position. So it's just amazing how he stood on his feet.
yeah, yeah. It's Nolan Smith is definitely athletic and can do what is possible. I just think the instinct and just okay. This is one thing I don't like that Nolan Smith does every time he gets a sack. He gets super excited. And I'm
Yeah,
like, all
like they
right,
got
bro,
to be a
just
little bit more humble.
yeah, yeah. Humble it a little bit. Like, let them know that's not just your only sack you're gonna get. There's more to come. And it's like he's so excited, like that's all he's been waiting for. And I just want him to just hold it back a little bit. I
That's
know
the
we
one
were talking
concern
about
I have
Sidney
for him.
Brown last time. Like
One
Sidney
concern I
Brown,
have.
remember?
Yeah, but one concern with real quick with him is his motor is a little bit too high. He gets too hyped up sometimes, and that does take you away from your energy and your mental game.
Yeah. And what Rich is saying, I can't wait for hers to silence Nick Wright. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Me and Richard were talking about that. Nick Wright kind of bashing Jalen for saying who cares that he didn't get any interceptions during camp. Yeah, we really don't care either. It's kind of the
Yeah, we
media
don't.
pushing
I,
that.
I really hate the training camp stats and he's list because every year we go through this and camp looks one way and the season ends another. Like, but those reporters got to report. They're gonna tally up these things. Every single throw is scrutinized, and I get it. But if he was looking terrible, we would be even more worried.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Now, next with what we are going to talk about, just with the who stood out to you in the secondary? Like who was somebody in the secondary? We know Maddox got the interception, but who's somebody that really like caught your eye?
So far, like overall, well, if we're talking about just yesterday, overall, I'm not gonna lie. I like Quinion Mitchell and I like
Mhm.
Ringo. I feel like if Ringo can get beat, he has makeup speed. I feel like couple moves he'll get beat, but he has makeup speed. I really like Ringo, and I think he's gonna develop into something.
Yeah, and that was our biggest concern talking about how the secondary there is no youth, and
Yeah.
with Slay and then Bradbury, now we got youth.
Now we
So
got youth. Yeah, we have
yeah,
projects that we have Cooper. We got Cooper. CJ,
yeah,
GJ. Like once again, I'm hyped to have him back on the team because we do
he's
need
bringing that
some.
mentality back.
We need that tough smack talker. We do need one of those guys on the team. We definitely need a guy like that on the team, and he fits everything.
Yeah, Mitchell has, and
Yeah, Mitchell's been a lot. I like Mitchell, man. Mitchell, like I said, young. The combination of what we got going on, these players are very, very young at this point, like extremely young, especially Mitchell. Like, he hasn't even played a game yet, but he's already looking the part.
yeah, I think Mitchell is showing the most hunger
Yeah,
out
he
of
looks
all
good
of
in
us. Like,
preseason. And when he gets on the field week one versus a NFL wideout, it's gonna be interesting to see how he fares. I really do think he's developing into something, and every rep is only gonna make him better.
yeah, we'll
Unfortunately,
go
his first
into.
game is gonna be in Brazil, and like the jitters are gonna be all over the place just for vets. So imagine the rookies, and their first game is gonna be in
Hmm.
freaking another country. It's gonna be
Yeah,
crazy.
so they're gonna get hyped. Like, I know they're
Yeah.
excited about it. They definitely hate the travel, but at the end of the day, like, hey, it's gonna be the only game
For
playing.
for me, I was thinking about this, and I think every Eagle fan should think about this. These rookies, their first NFL actual game that counts is gonna be in another country. So these preseason snaps and games and joint practices is important because it's almost like a different environment when you play overseas coming from the player's perspective. So it's like that's what they're walking into week one. And I'm still not a fan of them throwing us into that and all that, but I do think the Eagles are well suited to play the Packers and dominate them.
Yeah, and Richard said Cooper DeJean would be a rotational and nickel and safety. Speaking of
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean, I have a question for you. Do you think that Cooper DeJean's probably good? Yeah, he might have that injury, but do you think the fact that they're kind of sitting him and keeping him sitting out, that's more of a advantage to us? Do you feel that way? That's kind of the vibe that I get. That we're kind of using that as an advantage because we know what we can
Yeah.
use with him.
Yeah,
Or
I
do you
do
feel like it's
think they're
too
doing it.
soon?
I do think he's doing it, but like Richard said, I do think he's going to be in rotation at nickel or safety. So I do think the injury is probably protecting him because he is part of the depth picture. Like he's part of the big part of the depth picture. So I think that they're trying to protect him and just keep him fully, fresh, making sure it doesn't aggravate anything. Um, and injuries happen. That's something that we can't account for. We don't know who's going to be out, who's going to miss a game, what's going to happen. So at the beginning, I definitely do see him as a rotational player, and I think they're trying to preserve that for him because they may have expanded roles for him, and they can't not afford to lose him.
Yeah, they. I think they have a plan for him,
Yeah,
and they don't want to let us know. And I think Vic Fangio knows exactly what he wants to do with him. But I feel like if they show it, it's going to kind of show their cards of what their ideal is with him.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, yeah, I agree. No, yeah, don't
yeah. No
rush
need
it.
to rush it. Yeah, because he's a part of the Eagles' future, second round pick. They see something with the kid, so they like once again they're protecting his longevity, and he's definitely a part of the picture going forward.
Yeah, let's look at this depth chart real quick before we get up out of here. But
Yeah,
I know we really can't see it as well, but
yeah,
this is
small
just a
for me.
depth chart. Yeah, we this is just a depth chart of where everybody is. Um, I think this last game that we have against the Vikings, it's just going to be just to solidify everything because we know after that they're going to basically make their cuts. After they make their cuts, they're going to move them over to the practice squad, and they'll prove themselves there. They'll make themselves available if anybody's injured. But yeah, this is the depth chart for right now. I'm liking it. I'm liking where the team's going. A lot of the questions that we asked, like last week, we were talking about Huff. Huff didn't do that much. Now he's in here. He's
Yeah, yeah,
performing. He got his tackles. The Kobe Dean still being consistent, making his tackles, making plays, going towards the ball. Trotter, same way. So, like I said, my biggest thing is the defensive side. I know the offense, like we have expectations for the offense. I don't think they're there to disappoint, especially with Kellen Moore, but this defense, the way the Patriots are just running the ball on that defensive line, that's the only like hesitation I have on a few things.
I'm with you, Warren. Like the offense, I'm not too worried. I know Jalen and Kellen and AJ and Devontae and Saquon. I mean, look at all the names. I'm like, they're just gonna pull hats, and tricks out the hat. I'm sorry, they're gonna pull out trick. I'm not concerned about. My concern is really on the defensive side of the ball, and I'll
Hmm.
tell you why. New scheme, new coach, a lot of young players. A lot of uncertainty with the veterans. Is like for me, I see a lot of haywire and a lot of static still with the defense because we don't know. We really don't know. Like you said, he's not going to show his guns in the preseason. He's not going to put everything out there. He wants to come in and catch everybody by surprise. But judging off his history, you know, he likes to keep everything in front of him, and that's one thing that worries me is that he with the two high safeties and him always trying to play the deep play and keeping the defense on the field too long will definitely fatigue a team. So I just hope they find a way to get three and outs, turnovers. One
Mhm.
thing I will say is they look like they're swarming more. Like compared to last season, they look like they're swarming a little more towards the direction of the ball on defense because tackling was extremely poor last season. We lost a lot I'm sorry, we let a lot of players gain yardage on missed tackles last season. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like tackling 101 for the Eagles last season. So for the fact that I see them tackling a little bit more and swarming up to the ball, that just shows me that they're just running things a little bit differently. So let's just see how we fare.
Yeah, and we didn't tap into this too much last show, but the one good thing about Vic Fangio is he's a old school defensive coordinator. He believes that condition is going to be the biggest thing that these players are going to need. He wants them to know how to tackle. If you don't know how to tackle, you're not going to play.
You're not gonna play his
Another
system.
thing is, yeah, he doesn't care how much you're making. If you're not making the plays that he needs you to, you're not going to play. And I like how Nick Sirianni and Howie are letting him kind of just own it and just let
Yeah.
him take over this defense and do whatever moves he needs to. He said he wants to be up in the box calling the plays. He wants to see the full
Listen,
22.
if he wants to see that, and that's listen, whatever it takes. If that's gonna make him the better DC, then I like that.
Yeah,
Sometimes I feel like them being on the side is better. They get the emotion of the player. They're literally in the game. But also some coaches love that all 22 man. They like that view up there. They're seeing things from a bird's eye. Everybody's different.
yeah. He said
Oh, and
game
yeah,
planning
oh,
and attention.
100%. That goes to
Yeah,
coaching. Our two things last year, the downfall for the collapse: coaching and fundamentals. The Eagles lost all fundamentals defensively last season, even offensively. I mean, we couldn't pick up a blitz. Offensive line was getting blitzed over 40% of the game during Tampa Bay in the playoffs and couldn't stop it. Like basic coaching 101, stop a blitz, you couldn't do it. Basic
yeah.
tackling 101, the Eagles couldn't do it. So game
And
planning
Jalen
was,
wanted to know what to do. Yeah,
yeah,
Jalen
exactly.
didn't know what to do. Like Jalen, he reached out to other defensive coordinators, and
Yeah.
he wanted to know what are you guys doing, or what am I doing to for y'all to be able to run the blitz on me so successfully.
And that's
And
why
I appreciate that though.
I'm
Yeah,
praying this season's not a wash. You know why? Because if Nick Sirianni was the problem last year, guess what? He's still in the building this year. So
yeah,
I'm just hoping that whatever happened is washed up under the rug and we can move forward and we can forget about these reports. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't believe half of any reports that come out of Philadelphia unless I hear it from a player's mouth or a
yeah.
serious reporter like Sal Palantonio or somebody like that that's really in depth with the Eagles. Other than that, it's hard for me to believe a lot of these tension stories and stuff like that, because it's all stories.
Well, look at this aspect too of it. Before we get up out of here, too crazy. But I know that one thing that they mentioned was Brian Johnson was trying to please Nick. Think about it. You're a new offensive
Yeah.
coordinator.
Mhm.
You want to listen to your head coach. You want to you
Mhm.
want to get in good graces with that head coach.
Yeah.
So Nick was having Brian Johnson call certain plays that Nick was calling back in that 2021 season. And we all know that wasn't a good season, but we
And
did
we
get
know it
to the
wasn't
playoffs.
exactly, and that's when I
So
think
he's
Nick was on his high horse, and we don't
yeah,
need none of that in here. We don't need it.
exactly. And so Jalen was saying, well, bro, Brian, I like these plays you got. So that's when the whole conflict was happening. Because I forgot when it was, but me and you were talking about this and was discussing it last season. And I was telling you, I don't think that these are Brian Johnson's plays.
You said that multiple times on camera.
Yeah,
Like I don't think these are his plays. I don't think this is his offense. And In my mind, he was like a puppet in last season, like or the fall guy. You feel me? Like if
Yeah,
it was all going good, I think Nick would have been like, it's all going bad, so let's just throw it on Brian because Nick's fingerprints, like they said, were all over the collapse last season.
yeah, and I know this is kind of old news, but that's kind of why I'm very hopeful for this because when you listen to the way Jalen is now talking, he's boosted his he's a little bit more talkative. He's a little bit more engaging when he's talking. Even with the players, he's involving himself. And I think with Kellen Moore is making him a smarter quarterback, being able to read these plays like all these all these pre all these pre different decisions that Jalen is now making is now making him successful. He wasn't doing that with Nick. I don't even think he was doing it that much, even
Yeah,
with
there
Shane
was no, there
Steichen.
was no under center. There was a lot of pre-snap motion. It was a lot of stuff that was very vanilla, very boring. Jalen is an exciting football player. You need to spice up the playbook. You need to get him moving in distance, rolling out, quarterback draws, different types of plays to throw everybody off. But I don't think Jalen is as I think Jalen's a good thrower when he's on the run. So I want to see him get out a little bit and just get a couple, just get a couple plays up. But I just think that him and Kellen Moore is going to make magic once again. I have zero doubt in the offense, even at this point, with them, even them without them taking a snap. But the defense is where my concern is at.
Yeah, the defense is a concern. I would like to see Jeremiah Trotter just kind of take the lead on that and
Me
take
too.
over for Zach Bond. I think it's all as Eagles fans, we would like to see Jeremiah Trotter out there kind of
Yeah.
taking that starting role, even over N'Kobe Dean. Like, N'Kobe Dean's had years to prove himself, and he has not
Yeah.
done anything
And he's
out of
not
it.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But,
agree.
Jay, before we get up out of here, is there anything you want to tap into or
No.
know about?
Yeah, no, I just want to tell everybody thank you for tuning in, and we'll get ready for week one. We're gonna have a show every Tuesday. We should be live every single Tuesday, every Tuesday evening. So, just looking forward to the season.
Yeah, most definitely. Looking forward to talking more with you guys. Like I said, if anybody ever wants to come on, join us, talk it up, talk birds, you're more than welcome. We'll be doing a lot more content. I know you guys have seen our shorts. We've been working very heavy on the shorts, keeping the momentum going. But hey, once football season starts, hey, we're stepping on that gas pedal. We're not stopping. But yeah, look forward to talking to y'all again. We're
Appreciate
the
you,
Eagles Collective.